There is a unique and quiet grief that comes from an unanswered prayer. You prayed with all the faith you could muster. You stood on the promises of God. You begged, you pleaded, you believed. You asked for the healing of a loved one, the restoration of a marriage, the salvation of a child, the opening of a door. And in response, the heavens were silent. The miracle never came. The answer was no. And in the deafening silence of that unanswered prayer, a painful dissonance can begin to tear at your soul. You feel confused. God, I thought you were good. I thought you answered prayers. You feel betrayed. I had faith. Why wasn't it enough? You may even feel a deep sense of personal failure or shame, wondering what you did wrong to deserve this silence. This is one of the most difficult and faith-shaking experiences a Christian can endure. If you are living in the aftermath of an unanswered prayer, I want to gently sit with you in this space of confusion and pain. Your feelings are valid. Your questions are not a sign of a weak faith. They are the honest cries of a hurting heart. But I also want to offer you a perspective that is difficult but profoundly freeing. What if an unanswered prayer is not a sign of God's absence, but a sign of His deep, mysterious, and perfect love? We have been taught a version of the gospel that can sometimes sound like a formula. If you have enough faith and ask for a good thing, God will give it to you. But the heroes of the Bible tell a much more complex and honest story. The Apostle Paul, a man of monumental faith, had a thorn in the flesh that tormented him. 3 times he pleaded with God to take it away. He was asking for a good thing, to be free from an affliction so he could serve God better. And God's answer was a clear and unequivocal no, but it was a no that came with a deeper revelation. God told him, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Paul learned that God's purpose was not to give him an easy life, but to use his persistent weakness as a showcase for his divine strength. The unanswered prayer became the source of Paul's greatest testimony. Even Jesus himself, the perfect Son of God, experienced this. In the Garden of Gethsemane in agony, he prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me." He was asking for another way. He was asking for the answer he wanted. And the heavens were silent. The answer was no. Why? Because the Father, in His infinite love and wisdom, knew that the path through the cross was the only path to the resurrection. The Father's no to Jesus' immediate request was His ultimate yes to the salvation of the entire world. Sometimes God's no is an act of profound protection. We are like a small child asking to play with a beautiful, sharp knife. We see only the shiny object. The loving Father sees the danger we cannot comprehend. He says no, not to be cruel, but because He loves us too much to give us something that would ultimately harm us or derail His greater purpose for our lives. Sometimes God's no is a redirection. We are praying fervently for a certain door to open, completely unaware that He is trying to guide us to a much better door down the hall. We see His no as a rejection, when it is actually a divine course correction, protecting us from a path that was less than His best for us. And sometimes God's no is an invitation to a deeper trust, a trust that is not based on getting what we want, but on the unwavering goodness of His character. It is a faith that can say, like Job, "Though He slay me, yet will I hope in Him." It is a faith that can say, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, "The God we serve is able to deliver us, but even if He does not, we will not serve your gods." This is the resilient, unshakable faith that is forged only in the fire of an unanswered prayer. So what do we do when our heart is breaking from the silence of heaven? First, we must lament honestly. Give voice to your pain. Tell God you are confused, hurt, and disappointed. He is not afraid of your honest emotions. He invites you to pour out your heart to Him. Second, we must release our right to an explanation. We may never know on this side of eternity the specific reason for his no, and faith is the choice to trust his heart, even when we cannot trace his hand. It's the peaceful surrender of saying, God, I don't understand, but I choose to trust that you are good and that you are working all things for my ultimate good and your ultimate glory. Third, we must ask God to show us what he is doing instead. Instead of only focusing on the prayer that wasn't answered, ask, God, what are you teaching me in this season? How are you shaping my character? How can I glorify you right here in the middle of this pain? The silence of God can feel like an absence, but it is often a time of his deepest, most hidden work. He is with you in the pain. He is weeping with you in the disappointment, and his love for you has not wavered one single bit. Your unanswered prayer is not a sign of his rejection. It is a profound and difficult invitation into a deeper and more unshakable trust in the God who knows all things and who loves you perfectly.